Okay, in this series, we're going to make some animated text, slightly animated text in Adobe After Effects. We're also going to add some lighting and some camera to that to add another dimension of depth and reality, or virtual reality. Okay, I'm going to prepare my image in Photoshop first. I made a new file, 1080p and 1920p. So it's the right size for the project in After Effects. I have this at 72 pixels per inch. All right, I have three layers already in here in Photoshop. I have my background layer, this red texture. I also have this auto select checked up here, so it's easy to select things in Photoshop. I have text here. If I move this layer, I have a layer of text that says obviously love. Then I have this top layer here that I dragged in here of this metal texture. Well, I see it's I drag this into my existing file, so it's a smart object. So what I can do is right click on that gray area and rasterize this layer. I want to make sure that's rasterized. Then what I can do is merge this layer or clip this layer to the text layer. My texture, my top metal texture, I'm going to clip that to my text, to the word love. What I can do is hold that Alt or Option key, and over here in the Layers panel, with the Option key down, when I position that cursor between those two layers, I see the square with a downward arrow. I can click on that line, and that will clip the text or the texture to the text. Okay, now what I also want to do is, at this point, I want this love to pop out a little more, the word love to pop out a little more from the background, so I can make some changes in Photoshop. And this depends on what textures and colors you use and what size font, but you can do several different things to make the text pop out. I'll do a couple here. You can do whatever you need to for yours, or whatever look you're going for. What I want to avoid is things like the outer glow or drop shadow that may not transfer too good when I bring them into After Effects. So any of those soft edges I'm going to avoid. I'm going to do a bevel emboss. I can make it, obviously deeper, more shallow, bigger size, smaller size, whatever I'm going for. Maybe just more of a subtle effect. I can do chisel soft, chisel hard, smooth. I would stick with the inner bevel. Things like outer bevel and some of these embosses may not look that good. Maybe stroke emboss might look all right later on, but I'm going to stick with the inner bevel for this one. I'm also going to do a stroke on this. And I'm going to do maybe a nice green, which will pop it out from that red. I'll make it a little bit thicker. And if I do position that on the inside, then it'll move in and it'll have some of that bevel emboss on there also. So it looks pretty cool. Get a little thicker. There we go. And what else could I do? Inner shadow. I could do a gradient overlay if I want. Find a different gradient. And change the opacity on those. Change the effect on it. Multiply. Color dodge. There's all kinds of different effects of this you could have. There you go. Not too bad. Maybe more something like this. Just want that to pop out good from the background. Actually, I don't like that color either, so let me switch it up one more time here. There's all kinds of gradients you can select under here. There we are. Good. What I can also do is on my background layer, I could do any of my layer blending modes here. Or up here, let's do some quick ones. Image adjust, brightness, contrast. I darken that background, make it a little more contrasty, then maybe that love will pop out a little more. Change my levels, hue, saturation, all those type of things. I could desaturate that background, saturate even more. There we go. I'm going to go back to my text. If I want to change any of these effects afterwards, I can double click on that layer again. Change it. Okay, there we go. So it's popping out pretty good. I can do even more for this. Affect the difference a little bit more in After Effects if I want to. There we go. Now that love really pops out. And before I save this, I could save this as a Photoshop version, my original one. Then I'm going to flatten some of these. I'm going to flatten these two layers so they easily transfer into After Effects. So I'm going to right click on my text. I'm going to rasterize the type. And I can also rasterize the layer styles so it knocks down to the one layer. But before I do that, I should merge this text down. So after I rasterize the type, I can merge the text down, the texture down. And now when I rasterize the layers, it'll look the way I want it. Good. I'm going to save this. And I'm going to save this in a folder I have prepared on my desktop. I have my original textures in there. Call it whatever you want. I'm saving it as a Photoshop layer. Sorry, saved it as a Photoshop file. There we go. Next video, we'll see how we can take this into After Effects.